Welcome to another video. This is called The Layers of the Mind and the Means to Perfect Them. And I'm Dada Vedaprajinananda. Some people call me Dada Veda. You can call me Dada, it doesn't matter. And I'm a monk of Ananda Marga. I've been taught by Guru Sri Sri Anandamurti. And this is part of a series of videos looking at the yoga philosophy. And it's based on a book I wrote called The Wisdom of Tantra. And this particular episode, this particular video today is the layers of the mind and the means to perfect them. And previously we spoke about the 8 limbs of yoga. So the 8 limbs of yoga come in very handy because each one of those limbs has something to do with the perfection of the mind. So we'll look at all the different layers now and see what they are and what we can do to get the most out of them. So one thing that I want to, before we even begin, is that this is not a philosophical subject. Like you can just study it and then you get good grades on your psychology exam. Maybe you will, but that's not the purpose. What my guru says, Sri Sri Anandamurti, he says, proper knowledge about these 5 layers helps spiritual practice a great deal. So if you've been struggling with your meditation and your yoga and maybe just having some clarity of how the mind works will help you in your practice. That's what basically he's saying here. So let's see how that can be. So another way to look at it is this way. The task of yoga is to help humans perfect and purify each layer or kosa. So we have these different layers. And if they're all muddy, then we can't get the clear reflection of consciousness. We can't see that consciousness. So we have to purify the layers of the mind, and then consciousness will shine in us. So there are 5 layers of mind, but if we add the physical body to it, it becomes 6 layers. So here where the physical body is considered part of the mind, although classically, the mind was considered to be 5 layers, but we're considering also the physical body as an extension of the mind. So the first layer is this physical layer, and this is called Annamaya Kos'a. And Kosha means layer, and Annamaya means composed of food. Anna is food. Maya means what it's made out of. So composed of food. So that's a key factor here. So what you eat determines this part of the mind. And the yogic means to perfect this layer is through the yoga postures, which most people know about, and the food. So food is really very, very important. And I think I'm going to do a separate video just on food alone when I finish this particular series. So, because it's very important. And the natural means, see, we're going to talk about these layers of the mind and how to perfect them with yoga. But it turns out, that sometimes you're going to meet developed people and their mind is developed, everything is developed, and they never practice any formal yoga or spiritual practice, but yet they're developed. So there are side by side with the yoga system, there's the natural means how people develop their mind and body. So the natural means to perfect this layer is through physical clash. This is a term that we use in our philosophical system. It means that conflict, clash is like a conflict. So every time when we face a conflict, because of that conflict, sometimes something gets built up and you're able to handle the next crisis in a better way because you've learned something from it. So the body also develops through this physical clash or combat or experience, you can say. So from physical experience is a good way to look at it. So this is the Annamaya Kos'a. But now we're going to come to the Manomaya Kos'a. And the Annamaya Kos'a is the kosha of desire. So this, like this girl has a desire for this ice cream cone, because this is what the Annamaya Kos'a does. It works. It's the conscious mind, and let's look at the conscious mind. Kama means desire, and it's the conscious mind. So this is the mind that we use in our day-to-day activities. So if you see something, the sensory organs see it, and then you calculate in your mind, yes, I want it, and then you motor organs go to grab it and to lick it. Then that's the work of the Annamaya Kos'a. Now, this is a subject I also introduced in one of the last video that I did. According to the Vedas, the human body is a chariot. Of course, in those days, that's what they had. So they describe things in terms of what they had available. So why did they talk about the chariot? It's just an allegory. It's not there's a philosophical reason for that. So basically, the chariot is pulled by horses. Okay, in this one I only had one horse, but generally, they had many horses in some of these chariots. And in this driver's seat is a person, and that's symbolic of the discriminating intellect. Like we have a discriminating intellect. It tells us what's right, what's wrong. We should go here, we should go there. But if the horses are out of control, the horses are the organs, because the mind, which is the reins, the mind is weak, then the discriminating intellect can't work. So the proper direction, but the horses are pulling you in the wrong direction. So that it's good to do this thing and that thing, and it's not good to do that thing, but the horses are pulling you. So someone who has a weakness for alcohol, he's already heard the lectures. You've given him the lecture, don't drink, but his horses are out of control, and the driver can't control the chariot anymore. So that's what we're trying to do in yoga, is to control those physical organs, by making the mind strong. So that's the reason why the Vedas talked about this symbolism. So the natural means. So we're talking now about the conscious mind. So before, we talk about the alcoholic, or it could be any one of us that we want to. We want to. The doctor told us don't eat so much sugar, but yet we had that desire, and the horse with the sensory organ is pulling us. So we have to get strong. So the natural means, people also learn. Sometimes we learn by bitter experience. We learn, if I eat that, it's not good. So the natural means to develop this Annamaya Kos'a is through physical experience, physical ups and downs and conflict. So that's naturally we may learn that, but there's a yogic means how to get self-control over the conscious mind. So what is that? It's a very interesting one. People don't think about it when they think about some exotic thing you have to do. You have to stand on your head or something. No, the yogic means is really straightforward. What is that? Oh, I didn't tell it. I should tell it to you now, even though it won't let me go back. So anyway, but the yogic means is through the yama and niyama, the system of morality. That's how you control that conscious mind, through the system of the do's and the don'ts of yoga, to maintain a mind which is, you're not hurting people, you're speaking for the welfare, you're not stealing, you're viewing all as a cosmic consciousness, you're not taking too much, you're keeping your mind pure and peaceful, you're keeping your mind content, you're doing service to others, you're studying, you're meditating. So this is yama and niyama, and this is was discussed in my previous video. It's a very important subject. So through the yama and the niyama, the conscious mind is put under your disposal, so you can utilize it in the best way. That's the best way to say about it. We want to utilize the conscious mind, but if the horses are out of control, you can't do it. So the yama and the niyama are the key factors here. So now we're going to talk about the Manomaya Kos'a. This is called the subtle mind. The subtle mind. Or in psychology, we would also term it as subconscious mind. So the conscious mind, the Annamaya Kos'a, is what we have during our waking consciousness. So you're up and you're looking out the window and you're saying things out there, and you're watching the video, you're hearing things, you're doing so many different things, all this while you're awake. But when you go to sleep, though, your mind is still there, and because this is the realm of the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is active during sleep, and it has a certain number of functions. It works with dreaming. That's where dreaming takes place, in the subconscious mind. And memory is stored there. And just overall storage there. And thinking and computation, so putting things together. You got different kind of facts in your mind, and then you have to put them together to compile the answer. So this is the realm of the subconscious mind. So, but this, and this mind is really absorbent. It absorbs a lot, in the storage area, the memory. Even things which we think we have forgotten, that we didn't forget. There is a story about psychologists who hypnotize somebody, and then first they ask them, how many trees do you pass on the way when you go to work? So let's say if I ask you, how many trees do you pass on the way when you go to your work, or how many buildings or whatever, some minor aspect of geography which you wouldn't normally compute, you wouldn't have that, but maybe they're in your mind. So then when the person was hypnotized, he could recite, he can give the exact number of the trees on the way to his workplace that he calculated. Anyway, so a lot of things are stored. Many times we study something and then we forget so many things, but we did study it, but we can't remember it. So how can we develop that? So let's look at that. Yeah, the yogic means to do that is through pranayama. So if you do pranayama, you develop that Manomaya Kos'a, and that will help with memory and the recollection. So this is the means. The pranayama is the yogic means to perfect the subconscious mind. So if you start to do your breath control, then hopefully your memory power will also increase, and your general mental power will be developed. So this is the yogic means to develop that Manomaya Kos'a. But there is also the natural means. So pranayama, there's a little bit of explanation. It means the control of the vital energies. And the control of the vital energies is done through the control of the breathing. And why? See, actually, although we're not going to do the pranayama so we can remember how many telephone poles we passed on the way to work, or trees. But the real reason why we practice pranayama, at least in yoga it is to make the mind still. Because when you make the mind still, then you can really do meditation, and pranayama has that function. And at the end, we'll talk about the natural means but it's through the psychic experience, psychic conflict develops that Manomaya Kos'a, but we'll go over that at the end. Then we come to, so we have the conscious mind and the subconscious mind, Annamaya Kos'a and the Manomaya Kos'a, and plus the physical body. So generally, a lot of psychology and human study stops here, but there's a vast realm called the superconscious mind. Also, it's called Karana Manas in Sanskrit, and this is a realm which also is very important, at least in the study of yoga. So what is this superconscious mind? So it's called Karana Manas. Means another word for it is causal mind. Causal mind really because everything comes out of it. That's what, it's the cause of everything. Manas is mind. Karana means causal. It's also called astral mind. That's another word of it. But it has three subtler levels. It's not just one thing. There are three subtler layers are collectively known as this causal mind. So there's a bit of nuance here to the concept. Whereas there are psychologists, Carl Jung and others talked about the unconscious mind, they called it. But they didn't have that nuance of three parts of it. But yoga does add that. So what are these three layers? The Atimanasa Kos'a, Vijinanamaya Kos'a, and then I think there's one cut off here. It's Hiranmaya Kos'a. So we're going to look at all of those layers. Carl Jung called it the unconscious mind, and also talked about a collective unconscious. And he was onto something here, because what he was saying is that there's some kind of collective memory, which is not particular to you, but it belongs to all of humankind. So there's a lot of truth to this, because in the yoga philosophy we say that this unconscious layer, or the causal layer, is part of the cosmic mind. It's part of the cosmic mind. So like you have an individual mind. So if you went to school and you read out of a certain book, you had that knowledge in your mind, that's an individual thing. But there is a vast realm of knowledge which you didn't study, but it's there. And if you can go into this collective unconscious, or you can go into this Karana Manas, you can also have access to that. And that explains many different things, which we'll talk about, some of them, different kind of human phenomena which we can't imagine otherwise. So, yeah, this is what I mentioned before. So the unit causal mind. So like we have a mind. So we have our conscious mind, subconscious mind, and our superconscious mind. But our superconscious mind has no separate existence from the great cosmic mind. So that's why if you can go into that superconscious mind, you can get all knowledge of past, present, even future. So we'll look at the three layers of the superconscious mind. And I promise we'll also talk about the means to perfect them, but I think it's coming at the end. So the Atimanasa Kos'a is sometimes called supramental mind. And this is the realm of creativity, clairvoyance. That's why I talk about phenomena. So clairvoyance, they know things which are not physically accessible. Someone in another room can overturn a card, and then the person in the other room will say, yeah, it's a queen of hearts or something like that. And so that's clairvoyance. It's beyond the physical knowledge. And prophecy, so also, like I said, if someone taps into that causal mind, then there's knowledge of the past, the present, even the future. And this has been displayed, and we'll talk about a little bit about it. And intuition. So intuition is also to know more than meets the eye. So all of this is part of the Atimanasa Kos'a. So many inventions, like the periodic table of the elements, according to Mendeleev, he said that he dreamt it. He saw it in a dream. So this is the power of this particular layer of the mind. And the yogic means to develop it is Pratyahara. Pratyahara means the withdrawal of the senses. And the yogic process of meditation with proper posture and withdrawal of the mind, that's one way. There's also another way how to withdraw the mind from attachment to the surroundings. That's called the offering of colors. It's in tantric system where, you see, when you meditate, what happens? Many thoughts will come into your mind. Everyone has that, no problem. But the thing is, where did the thoughts come from? They come from the same place where your body came from, the creator. They come from there. So if you can offer these thoughts back, see, because the thoughts are often, you have attachment. So you were looking at a blue object that you wanted, a blue car, you wanted this shiny blue car. Then it comes in your mind. So the object is like imprinted on the mind. We want to give the object. So the blue color, if you offer that color after meditation as a flower, that's called the Guru Puja, or the offering of colors, or Varn Argya Dan. It means to give the offering, the giving of the colors. So this is one of the means of Pratyahara. But so through this process of withdrawal of the mind from its attachment to the physical things around us, then this Atimanasa Kos'a develops. And then what happens here? Clairvoyance or intuition, creativity, musical and artistic endeavor will be enhanced. I promise this, because I've been trying this for 50 years, and I see a result from it. So like 50 years ago, I couldn't play any instrument. Now I'm dabbling around with 4 or 5. I like to say I'm bad at 5 instruments, but who can imagine playing 5 instruments, 50 years ago, before I started practicing and writing songs. I never did things like that before. So you can do these things, and maybe you may not develop the periodic table of the elements, but definitely you can develop your mind, and through the yoga, just by, if you start meditation, you start this withdrawal of the mind. So Pratyahara is the means to develop this Atimanasa Kos'a. And next, what do we have? And the natural means is psychic conflict. Same with the Atimanasa Kos'a, the Manomaya Kos'a before, psychic ups and downs. You come into some psychic struggle. You don't know how to solve this problem, and your mind is churning and churning and churning and churning, and through that churning, something comes, and also creativity and intuition can be enhanced. So you're going to meet many people who have tremendous intuition and creativity. They never practice yoga. So there are different ways how to do it, but the yogic method really works, and it's at your disposal. So that's also why I'm emphasizing that here, but it's not the only means. So the natural means is through the psychic conflict and psychic experience. And then the next layer is Vijinanamaya Kos'a. Vijinanamaya, it means the special knowledge layer. You have some special knowledge. This is one of the most spiritually interesting layers for me. So what is viveka? One is discerning what is permanent from impermanent. The capacity to know what is permanent and what is not permanent is called viveka. So this quality comes out in a person when they develop this layer of the mind. And this is very, very important. What is real and what's not real? What really do we have to emphasize and what we don't have to emphasize? And there's one story about this which I really enjoy very much. Once there was a yogi, and he had a student, and he was teaching his student. And then one day he said to the student, he said, look, I can't teach you anymore. You have to go to a more advanced teacher. So the student said, well, who is that? And the yogi said, it's the king. His name was Janaka. So the student was perplexed because he's thinking, Janaka, he's a worldly man. He has so many chariots and castles and this and that, armies. And he didn't want to go, but the yogi said, no, you go there. He will teach you something. So what happened was he went to the palace. He said, yeah, my guru told me to study under you. And then the Janaka said, okay, that's fine. And he set him up in the palace with a special room that he had and a patio and a courtyard. Pretty good surroundings. And then the yogi did his thing there. He was doing meditation and his usual routine. But he was not getting any classes. So he's saying, I'm not learning anything here. Why did my guru send me to this worldly guy, who's watching his chariots and his armies and doing all this other affairs of state, but there's nothing spiritual here. Now, the yogi was practicing austerity. He had 2 sets of clothing and just his very small utensils and nothing much special. So, but one day what happened was the whole palace caught on fire. And the yogi, his clothing was drying out on the line, and that's all he had. So then he went out and he was rushing to grab his clothing. And then he looked up on the wall, and there was the king, Janaka. And he was looking at his whole kingdom was going up in smoke. And he said, even if my kingdom goes up in smoke, I have lost nothing. And then the yogi realized that's what he had to learn from Janaka, because Janaka had viveka. He knew that his kingdom, it could go up in smoke at any time. It's not permanent. But what he had was, he had knowledge of the spiritual being, that he was a spiritual character, this Janaka. And then the yogi, the student realized, yes, that's what he could learn from Janaka. He can learn viveka. So this is this is wisdom. See, like we want knowledge. That's very important. Like that's why people go to school. But you need wisdom. That's without knowledge, without wisdom, becomes dangerous. People invent the atomic bomb, but they don't know how to control it. They don't know how to do things positive for people. So we want wisdom. So one of the pieces of wisdom comes in this layer of the mind. And then another piece of wisdom also comes. It's called vairagya. Vairagya means that once you have realized what is permanent and what is not permanent, we renounce the impermanent. We accept only the permanent. Now, in the ancient times, renunciation meant you went into a cave, and you left the things physically. But that's not what we mean here. The real renunciation is more of a mental thing. And you have to be like that King Janaka. He had worldly wealth, but he understood that that was not the source of his happiness. That was not the source of his being. That was not the source of his real, true importance. So that kind of renunciation we need. We can live in this world, but we're not chained to the world. So this kind of knowledge comes in this Vijinanamaya Kos'a. So when you develop this layer of the mind, then you will be able to start to discriminate of, what are the important things of life? What are the things which are not important? And then you will be able to place your emphasis on the things which are important. That's what Vairagya means to put your emphasis on the permanent and leave the impermanent, to give it its place, but don't give it importance. So this is the Vijinanamaya Kos'a. And the yogic means to perfect it is Dharana. Dharana is concentration. Let's see. And the natural means to perfect it is through psychic clash, psychic conflict, psychic experience, the experience of the mind, what you go through, the ups and the downs. And eventually even people become wise. They may not have studied yoga, but eventually if people have enough knocks and ups and downs and this and that and enough experience, people also they realize, all this physical wealth is not the answer. They realize what is really important. It happens. But you can avoid all the ups and downs and the knocks of the road if you go right into the yogic means, which is through the concentration of the mind on a point. This is Dharana. So we'll talk a little bit about Dharana. So concentration of the mind on a point. So when you meditate, you have to bring your mind to a certain place, at least in the system that I follow, in the tantric system. You have to bring your mind to a point. In fact, that's what we want to do. We want to make the mind pinnacled, bring it to, we see like you have many thoughts, no doubt, but we want to then bring the mind to one place. So that's what Dharana is. And the chakras, which I just did a slideshow on, are very important in this process because the chakras has certain points where we can focus the mind. And there's another way how to do the Dharana, and this involves the chakras, and this is to focus on the factors which the chakras control. So this idea of concentration of the mind on a point, and it's used in meditation, and it's used also in concentration on chakras, and this helps in the purification of mind and body. And this develops that special knowledge layer, so you become wise as well as have a sharp mind. So now we come to the last layer. It's called Hiranmaya Kos'a, and it means the golden colored layer. The golden colored layer. And when someone reaches that level of awareness, they feel that they're very close to God, that the Supreme Consciousness is all around them, is very close. They're touching it, they're feeling it, everything. They feel there's just a little bit of separation. So that's the indication that you're moving in this layer of the mind. And the yogic means to perfect it is Dhya'na. Dhya'na means the natural means also people reach this feeling of that God is with them. How's that? There's something called the longing for the great. In fact, all humans have it. In all humans, there is desire for something more. That's why humans are unsatisfied. Even if you get $1 million, you'll want more. And you get even 10 million, you're going to still want more. The reason is not because you're a bad fellow, you're greedy, or a bad lady, but the reason is because we're driven by a desire for something infinite. And the infinite is attained when we get an infinite object. But this is in the back, this is the natural thing which is goading humans to find more and more because we want something that doesn't end. And so sometimes through this natural process, people then get an awareness of God, the awareness of the something that's beyond them, because they've been moving in that direction. Then finally that it awakens. But the yogic means is through the Dhya'na, and the Dhya'na means when the mind flows in an unbroken flow towards the Supreme Consciousness. Dhya'na is the Sanskrit word for meditation. And when it went to China, it became Chan. And when it went to Japan, it became Zen. But at the root of the Japanese and the Chinese practice was this tantric practice which originated in India, but it went back and forth from India to China a few times also. But the word Dhya'na means meditation. So these are the layers of the mind. And now I have something coming up is very interesting. I think it's in the next one. Yeah. So we have a summary of what we've done. So we look at it now. We have the, and also we have correlated with chakras even too. So the Annamaya Kos'a is the food, composed of food. It's the physical body, and the yogic means to perfect it is through asanas and food, and the physical, natural means to perfect it is through physical exercise and combat and clash and conflict and cohesion. And Kamamaya Kos'a, the next one, is the desiring mind, and it's the conscious mind. And the yogic means to perfect it is through yama and niyama, which I mentioned, but in another video on the Ashtanga Yoga, I talk about it in more depth. So please go through that. That's very important. It's the most important part of yoga, actually. And if you get good at it, then you'll be the master of your mind. The mind won't drive you. If you want to stop smoking, you'll stop smoking. If you want to stop drinking, you'll stop drinking. If you want to take less on this, you'll do it because you have control of your mind. But you have to develop a balanced mind through yama and niyama. So please look into that. And the natural means is through the physical struggle. So sometimes through the physical struggle, you'll learn your lesson about what you shouldn't and you shouldn't do. And the yogic chakra, which is associated with this layer of the mind, is the Muladhara chakra. And I discussed that in the last video of chakras and the subtle anatomy of yoga. And then here we have the Manomaya Kos'a, and this is the subconscious mind. And the yogic means to perfect it is through Pranayama, and the natural means is, again, through the physical clash, physical combat. And the subconscious, is the storehouse of memory and makes your mental working, your functioning. So you do the pranayama, you do the yoga, your mind will come sharp. But if you also you have enough experience in the world, your mind will also be sharpened. And this yogic chakra, which is associated with this layer, is the Swadhisthana chakra. Swadhisthana chakra is the second chakra. Next, we come to the three layers of the superconscious mind. First is Atimanasa Kos'a, also called the supramental mind. And the yogic means it's the Pratyahara, to withdraw your mind from attachment to the objects around you. And you do it when you meditate, and you do it when you offer your mind and your colors back to the Supreme. And if you have enough psychic conflict, then you can also develop it. But it's harder, it's a little bit more difficult. And the yogic chakra, which is associated with the Atimanasa Kos'a, is the Manipura chakra. And then we come to the Vijinanamaya Kos'a, the special knowledge, also called the subliminal, liminal, I think I spelled it wrong there. And Dharana, the yogic means, is a means to perfect it, or again through the psychic clash, psychic conflict. And the chakra, the heart chakra, Anahata chakra, the center of the heart, is the chakra which is associated with this layer of the mind. And then finally, we come to Hiranmaya Kos'a, the subtle causal mind, and Dhya'na, or meditation, is the yogic means to perfect it, and a natural means to perfect it is from our longing for the great, our desire for something unlimited. So this is the summary of the layers of the mind. And the chakra here is Agya chakra. I'm covering it. Sorry for that. I apologize. So I can't help that. I can't move my picture out. That's the way the program works. I'm the slave of the program. But the chakra here is Agya chakra. So Hiranmaya, subtle causal mind, Dhya'na, longing for the great, Agya chakra. If you don't know the chakras, go back to my last video and you get some information of it. Or you can also, there's another way how you can know all of these things. I'm going to come to it next, I believe. Well, through the further reading, yeah. If you read Beyond the Superconscious Mind, or The Spiritual Philosophy of Sri Sri Ananda Murti, or my book, The Wisdom of Tantra, and then other books by Sri Sri Ananda Murti, which is Idea and Ideology, Ananda Sutra, Subhasita Sangraha. And these are available at the pathofbliss.com. Pathofbliss.com. There's a bookstore there. You can buy them, or you can contact me. I'll help you to find them. But these books will help you to know many of these things. And I've summarized all of these books. Actually, because that's a lot of things to read, and so I summarized them in the slideshow. But I summarized them in a book here. So it's called The Wisdom of Tantra. So you can get it at my website, dadaveda.com, or if you want to buy electronic versions that you can use in your Kindle and all that stuff, you can go to amazon.com, get the Kindle version of it, or other online book things where you can get the electronic edition. So, but I highly recommend this book if you can use it, because when you see a video, things go by quick. So the book, you can stop and look at it. So that's the advantage of it. So if you have a chance to and you're interested in it, please go ahead and look at it. So that brings us, we're coming to the end now. I've taken some of your time, and I apologize for taking too much time. So thanks for watching, and you can also subscribe to the YouTube channel, because one of the reasons for subscribing is you get notified of new videos, especially because this is a series of videos, and you get notified of the new ones. And also, if you want to contact me, you can go to my website, dadaveda.com, and you can message me, send me messages, and I'm happy to engage with you and answer. Or you could sign up for my mailing list, you will also get news. I won't pester you. I don't send it out so often that it's going to bother your inbox. I'm not going to flood your inbox. So, but when I have some really important news, I'll share it in the newsletter, or you subscribe to the channel. So anyway, I like to always finish with the yogi greeting, Namaskar. It means I salute the divinity within you with all the divine charms of my mind and the love and the cordiality of my heart. So thanks for watching this. I hope that it has stimulated your mind, and I hope that also inspires you to get into the different practices of the Eightfold Yoga and to make yourself the best person you can possibly be. So I'll leave it at that, and I'll see you again in the next video. Thank you.